Okay, hello everyone. So this is Unit 7's video response to the commercialized sports. So we are supposed to choose a side whether we think that collegiate athletes should be paid or not. Firstly, I would like to talk a little bit about my experience. I had the fortunate opportunity to receive a full athletic scholarship. And it was a great experience. I definitely took into account the blessing that I had, and I made sure that I was very active academically, and as well as in different type of clubs. Just being a complete holistic student, something that we don't really see a lot in college sports anymore, unfortunately. But I can definitely say I had a positive experience in that element. However, there were some financial hardships that I had to endure for 2.5 years, even though I was on a full athletic scholarship. My parents, I was kind of in the midpoint as far as salary range. So, I started at community college, and I didn't receive financial aid at the community college level because we made too much. But still, we kind of felt like we didn't make too much, but that was just, a whole nother situation. So I definitely thought that once I got to the 4-year level, everything would be okay because I had the full athletic scholarship. However, there were times I can remember even till this day where, the money ran out. So on top of, them paying for my school, they also paid for room and board. So we had the choice of living on campus in dorms, or we had the choice of moving off campus, but they would give us a stipend or an amount of money per month in order to pay for our rent. So I chose to live in the dorms. I mean, it was just like an apartment. Honestly, had my own room. I had a roommate, except we had our own room. We had our own kitchen. We had our own refrigerator. It was literally an apartment, and they paid the rent. So end quote. And so, with that being said, they gave us money to eat, to live, to buy toiletries and things like that. And honestly, I can honestly say that, living at the dorms, this was my first year there. So I think that our stipend was about $400 cash a month to eat, to, if people drove. So that was our stipend, $400 living in the dorms. And so once you got off the dorms, the stipend to survive outside of your rent was about $500 or $550. I think some of my teammates were getting $550. Now, this was from the scholarship award. And when we look at $550 a month, we know that in the real world, that is way below the poverty line, first and foremost. And this does not include government assistance. We were not able to apply for government assistance. So we were literally living off of $550 a month. Now, when we're talking about practicing at all hours of the day and conditioning and, study hall and games and things like that, that $550 goes by really, really quick. So I found myself in situations where I hadn't eaten for days. Or I would re-up on a couple noodles from Walmart, $1, not even $1, like 50 cents a little pack. And I ate that for, weeks until the next pay period. Or, I had to buckle down and find the confidence to, ask my parents for a little bit of help. And that was something that I didn't want to do because, they had paid for me growing up in all these camps and different events and things like that. So the scholarship was the payoff. So I absolutely support that student athletes should be getting paid, just because based off of my own experience. So why should collegiate athletes get paid? Again, outside of education, yes, you're paying for our education, but at the same time, we need to survive. How are we going to survive? Especially when a lot of athletes are not able to work. We weren't able to work, so we had no job. The only income we had was from that scholarship. So that's one of the reasons why they should be paid. It is a job. Playing sports at the collegiate level is literally a job. And, we have students that are general students. They go to school and they work and they obtain money. I think that it should be the same type of process, because these student athletes need to be able to take care of themselves. So what are the positives and negatives? So of course there's positives. So better living conditions. The feeling of doing what I love, and also getting paid to do it. I know that people talk about education all the time, but if we look at all the numbers, we can see a direct correlation that a lot of our student athletes do not graduate. So what education really is the question mark do they obtain if they don't finish? But at least they would have been able to work, save some money, and things like that. There are some negatives, and of course abuse. We have student athletes that will of course abuse the money, which is buying all weird and ridiculous type of things, and we see this all the time. Backlash from the community or other student populations, and then a negative is really determining how much each student athlete should get from which program, from which school. So I can see some negatives. How would colleges regulate? So I definitely think that we should take on something like what the government does with the food stamps and cash aid cards and things like that. All the student athletes should get a card, and the card should be unlimited for food. It should have a limit as far as what you can spend in clothes and shoes and things like that. And then it should have an unlimited amount of money for the living expenses. So of course, when I say unlimited amount, I mean you get paid, but you're only allowed to have access to certain things, if that kind of makes sense. And that's the same type of government system that's played out today. So should all athletes on the team be paid? I feel like yes, all of the athletes should be paid, because they are all going through the same exact thing. Now, when it comes to how much, of course, I feel like we're going to see this because we see it in the NBA. You have your top players, you have your mid-range players, and then you have your bench players, the ones that help out. I believe everyone should get paid, but I do believe that there should be some type of percentage paid to those student athletes who are playing the most, just because they are more tired. They are the face, they should be getting paid. And then of course down to those supporting cast and those supporting team members. And so I just want to quickly leave off on a quote, and this video is probably pretty long, but I mean this is something that I am actually working in. This is what I want to work and address. So I just want to say that, the changes have been justified in sports, as far as sports taking control over these student athletes' lives. And so they should have a right to be paid, because their lives are being overtaken. We know that this is optional. However, I'm working for the university at the end of the day. The university is also working for me by providing me with an education, but we really have to look at the reality of what sports has become. It says athletes in heavily commercialized sports generally lose effective control over the conditions of their own sport participation. So that's just something that I just talked about, and I think that this is a topic that we're going to continue to see, and eventually I do believe that athletes will be paid, because sports is a billion-dollar industry in college alone. So there's just no way that you're going to be able to make billions off of 3 players and not be able to accommodate them, and they're struggling. That's just not going to happen. Continue to happen. So I'm interested to everyone's thoughts. I'm going to actually just jotly point out the what I saw on the website. So I definitely love the website. What did you learn from the website? I loved learning about the revenue that will now be used for things other than athletic success. So if you have academic excellence, I think that's really awesome and good. And I like the newsletter, how they are able to make this known for everyone to see. What do you find intriguing and valuable to you in your interaction with sport? So I felt that everything was thoroughly laid out. If I was interested in sports, I know exactly where to go. I loved having those pinpoints of integrity in all different areas, because those are pillars of what the program and what you want your program to look like. So I found that the website was very beneficial. It was a lot of words and real wordy, but other than that, I think that it was awesome. So I look forward to everyone else's responses. I'm sorry that this was a long post, but this is actually what why I'm here, why I'm going to school. I'm very passionate about this process. I love the movie, Big Time Losers. That's exactly, what I promote for my athletes. And I'm actually going to be showing them this video once fall kicks off. So I definitely think that this is a conversation that needs to continue, not just in the class, but in the sports field and the sports arena, getting those grants, getting those sponsorships from these top level companies like Nike and Gatorade and things like that, to help pour into these student athletes' lives so that they can live after practice and after games and things like that, and not have to worry about what they're going to eat. That's something that Coach Calipari talked famously about. So thanks for the post, and I look forward to everyone else's responses.